Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Game Changers. The Florida Panthers are headed to the Stanley Cup Final for the second time ever. And the first time since 1996, 27 years ago. Steve Goldstein along with Kim Bokamper, Samantha Rivera.
Back then, Goldie.
You were young back then.
Young guy back then.
You were two.
Had a little hair on the top.
Had a lot of hair on the top. Samantha was two. My goodness.
I know.
Well, the Panthers are red hot. They've won 11 of 12. They swept away Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final. Let's bring in Ed Jovanovski, who played on that 1996 Panthers team and current Panthers TV analyst. Jovo, thanks so much for being with us.
You got to dust Jovo off to be having on here?
Yeah, you got it on the shoulder for Jovo.
Dust it off a little bit there, Joe.
Hey, what have you thought of this run? I know you've been at the games, Jovo, the atmosphere in the building. How happy are you to see this team kind of doing, some of the things that your teams did back then?
Yeah, guys, it's unbelievable, what this team has done. And yeah, just over the top thrilled for them. Just the way that this team has battled throughout the year. Goldie, as much as anyone knows, it was looking a little bleak there at times with this team throughout the, talking about inconsistencies throughout the year. And then having their way to get into the playoffs and not to mention really kind of looking back to that Boston series, just what they've done, did there. Pretty incredible. And I think for the town, you can see the arena yesterday. I mean, the roof blew off after Matty got that fourth one with, 4 seconds left. So it's great to see the guys, with the opportunity to play for the Holy Grail. And, the town is buzzing for sure. We just need the heat to finish it off here tonight.
Ed, we've seen Billy Lindsay's been talking about it, and you're starting to see a lot of you guys that we have the opportunity to have what's going on with this team now, supporting this team. Do you see a lot of things that are very similar? It seems like, I know your team was as close as could be, and you talk to these guys nowadays and they say their team is very much the same. It's a very tight-knit team. They'll get along well together. They can enjoy themselves. And similar to what you felt as you were going through it?
Absolutely. And being tight, I think for our group, we're quite the veteran team we had. We sprinkled in a few young guys. Just kind of after practice, it's not the setup it is now where you got the chef at the rink, but, we always kind of found a couple spots to go to after practice and kind of enjoy lunch together, but definitely a tight-knit group. And I've heard Goldie talk about this. It is a similar team as far as the work ethic. You can see their kind of not be denied mentality, but they certainly have a lot more, talent on this team. You can see how deep this team, and it's proving it now where you can see the depth of this lineup, kind of, especially the top 3 lines. And then kind of what the fourth line's been doing with Stahl, Lomberg, and Colin White have been really good. So, similarities, great goaltender. Obviously, Bob doing what he's doing. You got a solid back end and you got some mixture in the front. I think this team is coming at you at waves, and not sure many team thus far has had any answer for it.
Jovo, you mentioned Bob, but how fun has it been watching Matthew Tkachuk play as well as he has?
Well, it's been unbelievable. Just kind of look at what he did last series, just with a couple overtime goals and obviously coming clutch. But you look at his game, and it's not your, flash and getting fans out of their seats. It's tough work what he does. He gets to those tough areas. He gets to that blue paint. He's hitting guys, so that tires on you as well. But he's almost like that Energizer bunny going out there. He's just kind of getting to those tough areas, mixing it up after whistles, and he just got a knack for scoring and scoring the big ones. So it's been an unbelievable season for him. Obviously, coming to a new situation can always be a little bit tricky, but for him, consistency has been a huge thing. He's done it throughout the whole year. He's had an MVP type season, and he hasn't stopped here in the playoffs. And it's almost like Goldie can tell you, it's almost a piece that this group has been missing, every time they had the opportunity to get to the playoffs.
You know, you look at who they play. They beat Boston one way, and then they beat Toronto. Kind of on big ice where there's room to move. And then you look at this series, and boy, it's just hard getting the puck up, back and forth, and everything was a grind. So it's kind of a different type of game. Does that bode well for this team moving forward? That you've played in different types of game, some more tough, some tougher, some a little more artistic, some a little faster, different ways of playing games, yet still winning along the way.
Right, but historically, I think you look at this, teams win, with that grinding style game. In the playoffs, you're not going to see that flash and dash, a lot of games. It's won along the boards. It's won those tough areas. It's being good and responsible in your own end and transporting the puck up the ice. But I think this team, it was missing throughout the year. But, come to playoff time, and just even before the playoff time, their forecheck has been unbelievable. Guys are getting hard in on the forecheck, creating turnovers. The way that they're keeping plays alive, defensemen have been a key part of that, keeping plays alive. But I think like any sport, you have these adjustments that you have to make in game, in series, whatever the game is. And I think Coach Maurice has kind of pushed every right button on how he wants his team to come out and play. And whether they're up or they're down or a close game or whatever the scenario is, it seems like they're kind of cashing in when they need to.
It has been a lot of fun. Eddie, quickly before you go, we see the background. The house looks beautiful. Will there be a Stanley Cup final party, and are we invited? Let's just get down to business, buddy.
Just say yes.
Oh man, I'm the way the team knows, and we all know in sport. I mean, it's you get to the dance, you still got 4 more wins to happen, but I think that the way the team is playing right now, I think they got to feel confident. You like to see the other series kind of prolong a little bit just to bang each other up a little bit more. Unfortunately, I think it's done tonight. But listen, they're in a spot right now to do something really special. You look, we're not going to get back into what they've done this year. I don't think this team is an 8-seed team anyway. But just what they've done getting through Boston, that series is unbelievable. And they can taste it right now. They're 4 wins away. They have an opportunity to do something special here for this market who's been starving for a winner in hockey. So listen, if I get the invite, I'm not even going to wait to get invited. I'm just going.
You're grandfathered in, man. You've done enough for the franchise.
Before we let you go, speaking of the house, what gets more use, that Peloton back there or your golf clubs?
Yeah. You know what? I've started that. I got my hip done almost a year ago. And it's kind of, I jump on that thing daily, and I kind of push it out in the backyard, get a little bit more sweat going on. But as we start ticking along in life, man, you got to get on that thing once in a while.
We know about that. It's a good life. Eddie Joe, enjoy it. Enjoy the run, Eddie, and we appreciate the time. Thanks.
All right, guys. I'll see you next week.
You got it. More coming up on Game Changers. The Heat and Celtics Game 5 tonight, like the Panthers did last night. The Heat can punch their ticket to the finals. Stay with us. We welcome you back to Game Changers. The Miami Heat 1 win away from the NBA Finals. They can get it done with a Game 5 victory tonight in Boston. So let's chat it up. I don't think the Heat want to extend this series. Certainly, they like to get it done. This Boston team is very good. Personally, still confident if they don't get it done on the road, they still have another home game. No one thought it would be this easy against the Boston Celtics. And, guys, it may end up being a long, difficult series at the end of it.
It might be. And I think it's rough to see. I think Bo mentioned it earlier, before – if Gabe was in it, or if Gabe was in the game, it's like, okay, you got worried. Now it's like, no Gabe? Like, what are they going to do? Last game, Jimmy had 29 points, and then behind him was Gabe with 17. And so it makes me personally a little nervous, to not see him in this game. But at the same time, they have other guys. They have Duncan, they have Max. So I think they're definitely going to push, obviously, so that they don't have to come back. But at the same time, you never know what's going to happen.
Nice to get Malibu Most Wanted off the bench and get him out on the court a little bit would be nice to get him. And he's available, but don't think he's going to play. But I tell you what, I never thought during the middle of the season that I'd be lamenting the fact that Gabe Vincent can't play in a game.
Right.
You know, he's just a guy. But you look at him. You look at Caleb Martin, what he's become, and look at those guys. Look at the confidence that those guys are getting to move forward in their careers with the stage they're on. So I think it's awesome, and I hate to have Gabe out, but like you said, this is a team that we've seen when someone goes down, they step up and they fill the void. If Jimmy's not having a good game, somebody else, Bam picks it up, someone else, Strus picks it up, other guys. So I'm disappointed, but I think they have a great opportunity this evening.
Yeah, you look at it, 3-1 in favor of the Heat. They bolt out, win that game 3 in a blowout, and then hey, give Boston some credit. You know, a lot of the talk about how the Celtics were outcoached badly in Game 3, how they kind of quit in Game 3. There was talk of that, and that second half they could have gone away quietly, but they did show a little bit of heart. They showed some pride, and you know what they're thinking of? Well, Jaylen Brown, I think, was the one that said, guys are going to say this, but don't let us get one, because once we get one, you may have a little bit of a problem. But the Heat are still. If you would have said before this series, hey, 3-1 lead, you would have signed up for that any day of the week.
Yeah.
But 3-2, then all of a sudden the brow starts getting a little damp up there, and wait a minute, 3-2. If we lose this one, then we got to go back up there. So look, I feel confident that they're going to close this out. If not tonight, it would be the next game, Game 6. I don't think this is going to go to a Game 7, but I can't be sure of that. So I'm nervous about tonight. I'm nervous what's going to go on because you saw life in the Celtics. Look, early in that game, the Celtics were teetering a little bit. And if they could have put on a run and maybe got ahead by 8-10 points, they may have just gone, cashed out and just gone back to the bench again. But they fought through it and they came back. Heat can't let them do that again. If they get on top of them, they need to bury them in Boston.
And I hate to say it, but I think obviously both of these teams are fatigued, but the Heat might be more so, right? They had that 3-hour delay going into Boston, and then you saw them in the last game. They shot 25% from three, 44-ish% from the field. I mean, it can only be, they're really going to have to find some kind of energy from somewhere, right, so that they can pick it up.
Well, you could also have a game. Remember, Jimmy Butler, as great as he is, hasn't had that ridiculous game so far in this series. He's been excellent, obviously, and everybody else has been terrific, and they've obviously done a great job of finding open shots, and Eric Spoelstra's kind of orchestrating this thing, and I think has the coaching advantage. But in a clinching game, like we talked about with the Panthers with Matthew Tkachuk and Sergei Bobrovsky getting it done, hey, you get a Jimmy Butler a 40-45-point game, and that may do it tonight.
Look, you mentioned Spoelstra. I think he's one of the main differences in this series. You look at, I remember watching, they had a shot of him in the locker room talking to his team and saying, hey, when they're taking the ball up court, get behind them. Bother them a little bit, get in front of them, make them change directions, just little things like that. Yeah. And then you listen to the other coach, and he's just going, "No, come on, play hard. You got to do this." And I just think Spo has become such a great coach and a clone of Pat Riley, where the smallest details may mean the biggest difference in a ball game, and he leans on those things.
Funny you should mention Riles. He's on the verge of his 19th NBA Finals appearance. So coming up next on Game Changers, who is the biggest winner in sports? It'll make you think a little bit when we come back. Goldstein, Beaucamp, Rivera back here on Game Changers. Let's talk about the biggest winners in sports. This is incredible. Pat Riley, okay, if the Heat win one more game, or if we want to go with when they win one more game, it would be his 19th NBA Finals. This goes back 6 decades since he played in the 70s. Wow. It's like 25% of the NBA Finals ever. Pat Riley has been involved in it.
And so, he still got hair.
Well, now why you got to take that shot, Samantha?
Yeah, see, that's wrong.
That wasn't even in my head.
Now that is a game changer, a cheap shot.
I'm about to put you in the penalty box right now for that one, but we're talking basketball.
I'm going to give her I'm going to give her 5 and a game misconduct.
I'm going to tear up on that one.
Rivera throwing the shots. I like that. I like that. Way to go, Samantha. That girl.
So we're talking about all sports, right?
Yeah, biggest winners. So Riley, spanning 6 decades, player, coach, obviously as a team GM, personnel, whatever you want to say. Hey, Tom Brady's been in 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
You got Tiger Woods and Serena Williams, individual sports.
How about staying in basketball? Go back to Red Auerbach, right? So look what he did with the Boston Celtics. But Bill Russell with the Boston Celtics. All the championships they had in there. So but let me tell you what. He's in very good company, no matter who you talk about, who you bring up, because certainly is successful in his career as anybody in other careers other than basketball.
I think Biz Riley's done it as a player, a coach, and an executive.
And like you, a broadcaster.
Well, thank you very much. That's right. I appreciate that. We don't win anything and we don't lose. We go undefeated every year.
No doubt.
Tiger, amazing, but I'll tell you what. I look at Riley, but Serena Williams is right there.
The queen herself.
What she has done over her career, with all the pressure, and you get into those situations, unbelievable.
And she had a baby. She had a baby. And then we gotta mention Alex Morgan and all this, right? She's 3-time Olympian, 2-time World Cup. She also had a baby. I mean, it's amazing, what these women can really do with their bodies, and then still go out and just be the best at what they do, right?
Okay, so before we go, pick one. Who are you going to go with?
I'm going with Bill. I'm going to go with Bill Russell.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Alex.
I'm going to go with Pat Riley. How's that?
I love it.
Up next, this is very important. Who gets to bang that drum when the Panthers are back home for Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final? We'll chat about that next on Game Changers. Trending roulette time on Game Changers. So before every Panthers game, they have the drum. Let's go Panthers, and you bang the drum. There's been a lot of celebrities. Jeff Conine did Game 3 of the conference final. Mike McDaniel last night for Game 4. Maybe a Dan Marino. Brooks Koepka's at every game. Tua. What do you think, Bo? Anybody you got in mind?
Me, I'll do it, but I don't
you're not
think
making the cut, bro. I love you, Bo. I love you, Bo.
Look, I'll come in there with a little tambourine and I'll bang that by myself, and then that'll be my part.
1960
I
style.
like the Dan Marino thing, Dan, but Dan's not a big hockey guy, so.
He's been to a few games, though.
He's been to a few games. Koepka, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Go with Brooks?
Because he's going to have that PGA trophy standing right next to him, right?
Yeah, they were drinking out of it at Game 3 in the suite.
So it's not easy to drink out of, by the way.
I'm going to go with Tua. I mean, how fun would it be to have your Dolphins quarterback there? I think it'd be great.
I'm going to get hurt.
I'm going to go off the mark with another South Florida, terrific-looking, talented, bald guy. Yeah. I'm going to go Pitbull.
There you go.
How's that?
I like
Mr.
that.
305 or Mr. Worldwide? What is he?
Both.
Is he 305 or World 5?
He's everything.
Worldwide 305 comes included.
305 is inside the Worldwide.
The Worldwide. There you go.
All right, let's hope that he closes it out tonight. Within 24 hours, we could have.
I don't know if Pitbull's strong enough to bang that drum.
Mike McDaniel brought it.
He got little noodle arms too.
So Pitt. What about these? What about these buggy whips hanging from my shoulder?
They're a little noodly there, I'll tell you that. I'm not even going to look at mine anymore. I don't even like to look at mine anymore.
That'll do it for this championship.
They're all hanging underneath.
Finals edition of Game Changers. We'll see you next time, everybody. So long. Thanks so much for watching, as always.